morning. Inner and outer?
Absolutely.
I mean, for one person to have it all, it's got to be...
We all have it all.
Got to be discouraging, huh?
No, everybody's got it.
And you can show us how to get that?
That's what I'm hoping to do.
Do most people have too much of one or the other?
Oh, I think you could never have too much of either one.
I'm glad you said that. All this and more in today's edition of Our Magazine. Long time. Thank you. I'm here with Linda Evans, and I was just saying, this is not your first visit on the show, but, geez, so much has happened since you were here. It was either our first or second year. The incredible success that you have met with.
You too.
Huh?
You too.
Well, we just sit here and do a chore every day that we love to do, but you, it's just been phenomenal. Can you pinpoint anything that's happened? Have you done anything different since you began with Dynasty, or has it just been a magical time?
Well, I think probably the show is just such a wonderful show. People love it, and so the people that are on it get recognized for it.
Well, as I said in the opening there, you know, inner and outer beauty, anyone that would sit at home and watch us and see you here today would say, what's she got to worry about? Yet, your book is much more than a beauty book. You talk about fears, you talk about self-worth, you talk about strength, a lot of things that plagued you growing up. Why would you include that in the book?
Well, because to me, most of my life, while people were saying to me, oh, you're so pretty and you're so lovely, I felt very uncomfortable with it all. I couldn't enjoy it because I didn't feel beautiful inside. I felt like I lived a lie. I wasn't really expressing myself, who I was, for fear that I wouldn't be loved or I wouldn't be appreciated. And I wanted to share with women that I think that it's not just what I felt, but a lot of my friends have felt this, that it's natural for us to have insecurities and fears. But what I want to tell them is that you can do something about it. And that's what the book's about, telling them what I did and how I experienced myself, and then the ways you can change it.
And you, well, I know from reading a lot of material on you, a lot of this has to do with your growing up. You described once that you were very passive and very submissive, and that much later in your life, sort of a great change happened. But can you describe your life? I mean, describe it relative to submissive and passive.
Well, when I was little, I was the middle sister. I was very shy, and people, I think my family thought that Linda was the quiet, shy one. Carol was the smart one, and Carol's my older sister. And so it was a role that I got when I was little that was very comfortable for me. And one day I went to school and I created a disturbance on a bus and stood up and said something. They said, sit down, and I wouldn't do it. And they brought me home and they said, Linda really was outrageous today. And everyone in the family said, little Linda? Oh, no. I remember thinking, oh, my goodness. Everyone looked so disappointed in me. I thought, I've gone out of my role. I mean, that wasn't consciously what I thought, but I knew that Linda, when she behaved that way, when she stood up for herself and said what she wanted to say, regardless of the rules, was not accepted right at home. So I started realizing that my place when I wanted to be loved and, oh, aren't you sweet and aren't you good, was all with being sweet and being good. And so I did whatever I could to make people think that so that I would be loved.
Did you also fear confrontation growing up?
Absolutely. If you disagree with someone, they may not like you.
I guess that's what is at the heart of it, isn't it?
Oh, surely, yeah.
Do you think success has had a lot to do with your changes?
No, I started this long before I became successful on the show. I started this about 7, 8, 9 years ago. It was just an inner dissatisfaction with myself and an awareness that I really wanted to know who I was, and I was willing to risk finding out. That's the kind of important point that you get to, where you say, no matter what happens, if everyone stops loving me, it's worth it. I have to see who I am.
You have taken chances, and you've talked publicly about them. I think we talked about them the last time you were here on the show, about a couple of marriages that didn't work out for whatever reasons. I don't know, looking back, were they... I mean, did you get married for the right reason or the wrong reason, or was it...
It's all perfect. I think we do whatever we do in life, and at the time, it's exactly the only thing that we can do. It's what's right for us.
You really think we're boxed into a corner when we do it?
By ourselves only.
Maybe that's it.
Only by ourselves, by our needs and what we require in life. But I think that in retrospect, I couldn't have done it any differently, and I wouldn't have done it any differently. And that's all right. The idea is not to get caught up in that. The idea is to say, okay, why did I do it?
Yeah.
And what was my need, and can I change that in the future?
Because you're right, it's what we needed at the time rather than what we need today, because it may be totally different. Is there a third time? I mean, is that something that's out of the question?
Well, I hope so. No.
You've just given hope to several million men out there.
Well,
But what, I mean, if anything, what's going to be different about the third time for you?
well, firstly, this is the first time I've ever truly known myself. You see, when somebody meets me this time, I know who I am.
And
I'm not playing.
know who you are.
I'm not playing a role. I'm not being someone that I think they want to love. I'm being who I am, and so they know right up front who this person is. They'll know my strengths, my weaknesses. I'm willing to make a mistake. I'm willing to be wrong. Now they're going to see all of it.
I don't know, but I think you've got another little area of concern, though. Now that you've enjoyed all the success, you're going to have to find a pretty special guy. You can't find a Mr. Evans. That doesn't
No,
work.
but there are a lot of special people in the world.
Yeah.
You're a special person.
I'm spoken for.
Oh, I know, but I mean, there are a lot of special men.
Drat. What's he going to have? What are his qualifications?
Well,
You've
can't-
described what you're going to be, but what's he going to be?
Well, I hope he'll be honest and he'll know who he is and he'll love me, and that'll be a great place to start.
I can't think of any other better place to start. Unfortunately, we're going to have to continue this tomorrow, but I do want to remind everyone, Linda has graciously agreed to be with us for 4 days, and tomorrow we're going to talk about outer inner beauty, and then we're going to meet Patricia's son, who is someone who has been very important in your life as far as your changes, and we're going to wrap it up with one of the most well-known Hollywood designers, Nolan Miller, who is the designer for Dynasty, as well as, I guess, has designed for you since
Big Valley.
Big Valley.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about Big Valley as well.
Okay.
Nice to have you here.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to tomorrow. Linda Evans. We'll be right back. Hey, what a week.
We had some fun.
I mean, I could swear I've seen you change before my very eyes this week.
That's right.
We've been talking about Linda Evans' Beauty and Exercise book. I might add, it was edited by Sean Derrick.
That's right.
Your close dear friend.
That's right.
And enough of the inner. Let's talk about the outer, which is so important. And I won't give this away because it is a creation of someone who has been very close to you. He started designing for you with the Big Valley, and he's still designing for you with Dynasty. And it is none other than Hollywood's great designer, Nolan Miller. I'm telling you, you look like Cary Grant coming through those doors.
Oh.
Huh?
Isn't he handsome?
Oh, he's very handsome.
God.
Huh?
Shucks, folks.
Don't you love how they make you feel dumb up here, Nolan?
What's the guy
Anyway,
supposed to say?
I said I wasn't going to give it away. This is one of your creations, isn't it?
Yes.
The Dynasty?
Yeah, right. And we're going to show you a few more, 3 or 4 more.
All right, we're also going to talk about what you look for when you meet someone and how you make distinctions in design from person to person, right?
Right. Okay.
I hope so, because I'm all ready to do that.
I'm very spoiled, as you can tell.
I'm fine
designing
with
for
Nolan.
Linda.
Nolan and I are good friends. All right, Nolan, Linda, we look forward to that and a lot more in today's edition of Our Magazine. Nolan, how did you begin? I mentioned the Big Valley, but how did that come about? How did you begin designing for Linda?
Well, I accidentally met a young writer, producer named Aaron Spelling, who gave me a job working for Dick Powell, and then a series of things came along, and finally, I guess my intro to Big Valley, though, was Barbara Stanwyck, and where she goes, I go. So when she started working on Big Valley, she insisted I do her clothes, and
Thank
she
goodness she
takes
insisted
care
on
of the people around her, so she also insisted I do Linda's. So that's how that all happened.
Yeah. Is that fairly unusual for someone of that stature? Now, I've heard a lot of stories about Barbara, how terrific she was, but is it usual for someone to say, well, here, I look terrific and I'd like my younger co-star to look terrific?
Oh, for that, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Usually the star doesn't care what, I mean, she doesn't want her younger co-star to
She
look
used to
so
be so
terrific.
wonderful. She used to have her dresses cut down. They wouldn't have as many outfits for me as they would for her, so they'd cut down some of the clothes of hers for me and use the skirts and add petticoats and everything so I could have more clothes.
Not
What a
cut them
nice
down,
thing.
we
Is that
would
right?
make them bigger, taller.
Well, okay,
Add to the
change them,
bottom
that's
things,
right.
you know, do things to them.
Do things to them.
Yeah, so that they would fit
What a
with it.
size, Gary. The point is that Barbara was willing to do that, which
No,
is
she was
terrific.
very concerned about when they would order 5 dresses for her, she'd say, fine, do 3 for me and 2 for Linda.
Isn't that wonderful?
It was.
Spoiled even then.
Yeah.
I know.
You must have had a nice relationship with her.
Oh, I love her.
Was she kind of a mother figure, in a sense?
Sure, she's like
mean,
a
she
mom
has-
to me.
she
No,
does
she's
have-
like a mom to me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I talk to her all the time.
How's she doing, by the way?
She's doing very
Where
well.
she went?
Mm-hmm.
Not only Barbara Stanwyck, but you've designed for Jane Wyman, Lana Turner, and many, many more. What do you look for? And I include Linda in this. What do you look for in a star, in a personality?
Well,
that can make them different from one another when you design.
well, normally, I mean, if I'm doing a personal wardrobe, then the thing that dictates what I'm designing is if it's what the occasion is, if it's the Academy Awards or if it's something she wants to wear to a luncheon. So we start with that.
Does personality have a lot to do with it?
Of course, personality and the likes and dislikes of the person, whether it's an actress or just a private person. Their likes and dislikes are the first thing that you have to consider, because if somebody is very uncomfortable in a dress, or like in Linda's case, she doesn't like green, if I made the most beautiful green dress in the world, she wouldn't be comfortable in it.
Have you ever designed something for someone you've never met? Or do you insist on...
Well, no, yes, I have, and it's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to design something with measurements that have just been mailed to you.
Yeah. Aside from green, is there anything else you don't like, Linda? Any styles, particular styles? Or...
Well, I don't look very good in full skirts and ruffles and
Big
things
Valley.
like that. No, well, you'd be surprised. He got around all that. Yeah.
Why? What's the matter with ruffles and stuff? Is that...
Well,
I'm
full
just curious if you
skirts,
have
full skirts, because my shoulders are so big, make me look very hippie and very large.
Ah.
It just looks like I'm just like a tank. I could start up here and it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
So he tries to, I can't do anything about my shoulders. They're here. So he tries to,
De-accent.
accent this.
Yeah.
No, he
As long as we keep
It's in
everything
now.
big up here and we do
Well,
sleeves.
you
yeah,
have big
yeah.
shoulders now, I'm
Right.
okay.
If you don't have them, you buy them, right? And put them on there.
But with Linda's built wide in the shoulders, so we do important detail, and then we keep her very slim in the hips, and it shows off her figure. But the minute that you put her in something that's big in the top and then a big full skirt, you lose her.
I
her
can't
figure.
imagine this being an enormous problem for you. What's the most challenging thing that you've had to do with a design for someone? It doesn't necessarily have to be Linda.
Oh, well, I once did a dress for an actress for her curtain call that weighed so much it was solid rhinestones that when she took her great sweeping bow at the end of the show, and the applause was tremendous, and she was very overcome, and she did a very sweeping, deep curtsy and crumpled to the stage and couldn't get up because the dress was so everyone refers to it as my doom dress.
Gosh, that's funny. I mentioned you designed Dynasty. You designed 3 other shows. What are the other
I
three?
do, well, I do all of Aaron Spelling's shows, Love Boat, Matt Houston, and The New Hotel, which is...
Do you pay a lot of attention to what's going on current fashion?
Sure, but I'm a firm believer in, never mind what the current fashion, I mean, we can't do something that they don't even look like they're in style or
Yes.
that's current, but I would much rather see women wear something that looks good on them, is right for them, than simply because it's in a fashion magazine. I mean, so many people, women today, I think, are sort of brainwashed with labels and names, and they will just say, oh, look at this, it's Halston, or look at this, it's what, Yves Saint Laurent. It doesn't matter, and it could be terrible on them, but it's okay because they saw it in Vogue and because it has a name.
Well, looking back, has there been one person that's taught you the most, or taught you some very critical points?
Oh, you mean in designing for films?
Yes.
Barbara Stanwyck.
Barbara was awesome.
Yes, I mean, I went to school and studied, but I learned more from her than and I've been very fortunate because when I started out working for Aaron, it was the Dick Powell shows, and we had, I think they probably started cameo roles. So we had Joan Crawford, Barbara Stanwyck, Jane Wyman. We had all the big superstars on cameo, and they have all had the finest designers in the world in their careers. They've all looked at themselves for 30, 40 years on the screen. They know what's good for them, what's bad for them, what photographed right, and I had the benefit of all of that.
Linda Nolan, this has been so much fun. We're not going to end it right here. We're going to take a short break and be back, and when we come back, we're going to take a look at the fruits of Nolan Miller's labor on Miss Linda Evans, a fashion show. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're talking with Nolan Miller and Linda Evans. Nolan, of course, the designer for Dynasty. You started with Linda, gosh, Big Valley. I've also noticed you design things that, I don't know, things that pop out at you, and then things that are real kind of quiet and subdued. But how do you make that determination?
Well, certain things have to work for, we're talking about now for Dynasty or for film.
Yeah.
So if she has a very dramatic scene where she's crying and Blake's being mean to her, she can hardly be in a red sequin gown. I mean, we do the wardrobe to work with the scene, to help the scene.
Mood wardrobe.
Mood wardrobe. It sets the scene. For example, when the first time that Stephen saw his baby, his homecoming, in the concept meeting, Doug Kramer said, she should look like a Madonna when she comes down the stairs with the baby in her arms. So we put her in white chiffon. I mean, it's not exactly what you'd really sit around the house with the baby in, but she came down the stairs in white chiffon with cut velvet, holding the baby, and she was very Madonna.
What are you going to be wearing this fall? Anything you want to mention? Anything you want to talk about?
He's designing them as we speak. He was just talking to me one upstairs. What did you say, the paisley?
We're doing a lot of velvets, but especially a new outfit is paisley velvet with suede. We're using a lot of suede, a lot of very beautiful suede. We've decided that's a good look for her. A lot of suede and a lot of fur.
Okay.
And and I think we're doing stronger colors on Linda now.
We're about to see some of the things that you have designed that Linda has worn, and some stuff that has not yet been seen on the show. Am I correct? All right. Let's take a look at the designs of Nolan Miller, modeled by Miss Linda Evans.
This was Linda's wedding gown. This was in the first season of Dynasty, and this was her wedding gown. And it's a white silk crepe two-piece dress, and it's all embroidered on the top in silk cord, all in soutache. Very heavily embroidered. And it was a garden wedding, and since it was her second wedding, we didn't want to do the veil and the whole thing, so we kept it very simple. This was a pantsuit. I think you ran an errand in it or something, or you went looking for Blake.
I ran up a mountain.
Yes, you ran up a mountain.
My white outfit.
And it's white cashmere.
Oh, I remember seeing that, yeah.
It has a pattern of white satin leaves on the shoulder, on the jumpsuit, and the cape is bordered in white satin, and it's all white cashmere.
You have to design for just a brief appearance as well, don't you?
Sure, sure. If she's answering the telephone, she's still saying, I mean, she still has to have clothes. And this was a suit. This she wore to the reading of the will. And
just to make sure they knew what her portion was, huh?
It's a tweed suit trimmed in foxtails. This was to let them know that she was rich already and didn't need the money.
Just the two colors, the beige and the white, are just so terrific for you. That's another thing you have to pay attention to, is her coloring.
Yes, Linda's wonderful in beige and
I
white.
recall Alexis was in black that day.
And this is an evening gown, which is new, has not been on the show yet. And it's all, the entire thing is beaded.
Kind of makes you forget about those shoulders, doesn't it? Before we go, you mentioned just answering the phone. What's the shortest scene that you've had something designed for?
Oh, goodness, I think, my favorite one was when I came down the stairs to go to my car, and he had this wonderful beaded pants outfit with bugle beads and a cape, the full-length cape, and I just swept down the stairs and said I had to go somewhere and went out the door, and
Just
I never
to walk
wore it
by,
ever
huh?
again.
Where does all this beautiful stuff go that you designed?
In the wardrobe department, and a few of them end up in her closet.
The closets keep enlarging, I'm sure,
We
when
borrow
they're
them.
designed for by Nolan Miller. Nolan, thank you so much
Thank you.
for being here.
It's fun being here.
And I can't thank you enough. continued success. You grow more beautiful each time we see you, inside and out.
Thank you.
Thank you.